Aggro, what will center square be?
Ooh, I'd love to see something late game here,
Fallen
like
Star Beast.
Radon summons.
It is Elemer. So actually very similar to Radon in terms of placement. Like right when you get into Altus, you can rush that. Get into Altus +4 weapon and just go. Obviously a little bit more value out of Radon in terms of just generally speaking, but in this case, Elemer is center square.
Yes, and I actually really do like a lot of the things that I'm seeing on this board. There's a ton of very rushable squares and a ton of very good synergy amongst a lot of this board.
Yeah, in terms of the rushable squares, we have a Geel +0. You talk about the board while I fix the fact that
Not a problem. So for rushable squares, obviously there's 3 paintings on the board. There's a Geel +0. I would say that those are the 2 most rushable squares, and then you have what I would call alternate rushable squares, things that you go for second, like atone for your sins at Turtle Pope, or finishing off a boss with explosive physic. And so I would actually expect to see a ton of squares get marked in quick succession with this board, with a lot of synergy too. So you have something like a Geel +0 that's very rushable in the traditional sense, but then you also have very rushable in the sense of 4 Drake talismans, remembrance with daggers, whips, or flails only, Godric's Great Rune, like massive synergy on the board.
Yeah, and with you looking at this board, like, you know these players better than I. Do you, like, I see like a Geel paintings. Do you think either of those players will rush those squares, and if so, who? Or do you think players are just going to favor setup?
I think what we might see here is a heavy rush for like a Geel +0 in paintings from specifically Asym. And I'd be very interested to see if Snowy wants to go for Godric's Great Rune and daggers, whips, and flails. Because if he does want to set up the surprise bingo route, row 3 is surprisingly dangerous if you can get Altus access early while your opponent is trying to pick up those early squares.
Mm-hmm. I also see, I think there could be, if you feel comfortable doing like Renala early, I see a decent play with her, right? With Atone Your Sins at Turtle Pope into Renala. Maybe you don't do that daggers, whips, and flails only because it's a little sketchy, but you could also then potentially stat dump into 25 arcane or int. That being said though, when there are 2 stat dumps on the board, you probably don't want to be the person to stat dump first.
I think stat dumps are also very weapon dependent. 25 intelligence is the strongest stat dump in the game because there are a ton of great weapons, whether it be the Rosa's Axe, the
Oreblade, Rosa's Axe, Oreblade. Yeah. I mean, hell, even Moonveil, Spirit Glaive if you're a Satari and only Satari. You know, I agree with that statement. Like when we make our tier list that we've been trying to work on, and then it inevitably ends in an argument over like one thing for an hour and nothing actually gets done. The int weapons consistently outrank the faith weapons in terms of bingo viability.
Yeah, int is a very strong square, so I would 100% love to see the rush on int, specifically if we see one of those int scaling weapons. Because it will be a prio to stat dump int over 25 arcane, because if you do get into that majority match, you do put a little bit of pressure on your opponent saying, I did my stat dump, are you going to do yours?
Yeah, and even if you get like family heads, let's say from the chest or whatever, the flail check, right? You could just dump in after Margit to wield family heads, right? It's a little risky, but as long as you win Godric, then you're good, right?
Yeah. I will also say right off the bat, from our 2 players with the starting classes that they picked, I'm immediately seeing Snowy might be looking more towards a slightly later game by picking up a weapon that's not wieldable but very strong early. The Vulgar Malicious Saw does have bleed buildup and is fairly strong, doing decent damage.
Yeah, and Asym, meanwhile, is going for it right here, right now. Looks like a Geel without Torrent.
So this is pretty much what I expected. I'd be very interested to see if Snowy completely gives all prio on a Geel +0 and just rushes towards either Godric or Liurnia.
All right, let's see how this Agil goes here for Asym. I'm kind of surprised he's using the Mesmer Soldier Axe over the spear with Impaling Thrust, because Impaling Thrust is pretty good on Agil to hit the head.
It is an interesting choice, but the Mesmer Soldier Axe is one of the better axes that you can get in the game right off the bat. Like, we can already see it does have decent damage.
Yeah, unfortunately we'll not be able to get the riposte there.
The headshots will still add up a decent amount of damage, which is good. Very clean fight so far. Hopefully we don't see any moves that will troll Asym here. It is Agil's favorite thing to do, is accidentally hop up on top of that cliff top.
One more shot will do it here, and perfect for Asym.
Beautiful, beautiful fight. It's good to see that as a Geel +0 marked.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully with those runes, he'll be able to fix that very, very small vigor health bar problem.
Yeah, and also this is kind of best case scenario for Snowy, because if you're not going for a Geel, you want your opponent to do it without Torrent, because in terms of the overall time loss, I believe it is slightly slower, right? You get the square faster, but comparing like having a Geel dead and Torrent, right? Doing it with Torrent is faster, right? So Nexus will lose, I don't know, 15 seconds or whatever, because he just has to do a little bit more running on foot. Also, Snowy opens the Greatsword chest, sees that it's legendary, knows that it's trash, and just doesn't even pick it up. Just says, nah, I'm good. I'll get the hell out of here. None of the legendary Greatswords are any good at all. I mean, maybe you can make a really crazy play and do... I mean, actually, that's not entirely true with this board with the stat dump. Like, you can make Marias work with 25 Arcane, or you could get 25 Int and make that work.
The tier
Warblade is goated,
for...
but it's not a Greatsword, it's a Colossal. Also, I'm glad to see Snowy definitely refined his paintings routing. It was earlier this week he lost the what started the snowball against Nexus was improper routing on paintings, and Snowy cleaned that up and is just gonna get the square. And now actually he can't, because he saw Asym mark Agil. He can afford to be a little greedy, not too greedy, because it looks like Asym's also going with paintings. And it would again be disastrous for Snowy if he were to lose this square. But
I do find it mildly surprising that Asym's even working towards the square, knowing that I went for a Geel +0 and I've lost potential prio on this.
yeah.
Although the big upside for going for paintings is it pushes you in a lot of directions you want to be, especially if you do go the Liurnia route and not the Stormville route. Like, you're getting access towards your halberd check, you're deep into Liurnia, you're going and grabbing closer to the Wondrous Physic with that artist check there. And then if your last painting is the one in Caelid, now you're over by Celia Skip, which gives you good access to Dectus.
Yeah, I think in Nexus, or not, for some reason I call Nexus Asym and Asym Nexus all the time. I don't know why. I think in Asym, normally, yes, if you're rushing, it is better to do Celia last. I think in Asym's position though, you do Celia earlier because you'd rather get the synergy out of the square. And the only way you actually get the painting square is if Snowy wasn't already going for it, right? So you might as well make the synergy play first.
And it does seem like that's at least what he is going for.
Yeah.
So he sees the play as well.
And Snowy did start with the Rotten Staff class, which Rotten Staff is a very solid weapon. Very, very usable in bingo. It's probably the best colossal for bingo. Only 34 strength is required. It has rot. It's somber. A very strong weapon. And 34 strength with the two-handing bonus is 23? 23, 22, 23. Especially when you consider the fact that strength is the easiest stat to get because the strength tier is so accessible in the source seal.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to move away from it because we did just see G-Halb from the halberd check. So there you go. G-Halb is a tier above Rotten Staff, for sure.
I will say I've gotten flamed before. I think Golden Halberd is very much an A tier weapon, just because in the early game, your ability to use Golden Vow to negate some of the damage that you could be taking adds up very, very much.
Oh, I 100% agree. I think that's a very cold take, actually, that's saying that it's an A tier weapon. Because
many people kind of sleep on Golden Halberd. Obviously, they know that it's a good weapon, but I, in many cases, have taken Golden Halberd over some of the stronger weapons in bingo. I wouldn't take it over Dragon Halberd, maybe. That's a hot take, but
I mean, to me,
I would put them on similar levels of strength, depending on what the board looks like.
To me, there's the big five, which is Dragon Scale, Dragon Halberd, Alabaster, Elfin Steeple, and then, if you know how to use it, Bloodhound Fang, right? And then after that, I think you could argue for Golden Halberd, no question. And like for some people, I think Golden Halberd's better than Bloodhound Fang. Bloodhound Fang is just one of the most skill-based weapons in bingo, or in just Elden Ring, period. If you watch someone that knows how to use Bloodhound Fang, it's a work of art. Like the way they're able to use the Ash of War to move around and strafe moves and iframe stuff, like it's absolutely beautiful. But it is highly, highly skill based. So if you don't possess that level of skill with the weapon, like, which I don't, most people don't, right? Then I think you could even argue for Golden Halberd over Bloodhound Fang.
Yeah. And obviously, Bloodhound's Fang also comes with the massive, massive upside of being able to use greases on it.
Yeah.
And there are tons of greases that you just naturally pick up over the course of the run, even if it's just getting the blood grease recipe for hype.
Yeah. And that's just another part that adds to the skill ceiling with Bloodhound's Fang in particular. It's just so high. Like I genuinely think, like, for the people who are, top speedrunners and know how to use that weapon in and out, it might be the best weapon in bingo, period, right? They might take it over Alabaster or Dragon Halberd or something, but it's only because they are so highly skilled with that weapon.
I would be so bold as to say Bloodhound's Fang is stronger than Alabaster.
If in the right person's hands, I would agree. Yeah.
Because I've used both weapons, and being able to use Bloodhound's Finesse to get out of a tight situation or using it to dodge attacks is definitely something I value way more than slightly less stamina consumption on a decent
Alabaster's pretty broke. I don't know. I think with your range, in my range is like, I'm thinking like in the top speedrunners' hands, them with Bloodhound Fang is better than them with Alabaster. but like for 99% of the population of bingo players, it's Alabaster. Like Xeno is the exception, right? Like people like Xeno. I think you're afraid. You're like, yes, I agree, but you're saying like 20%, and I'm saying 1. So that's, I think we're agreeing to disagree.
I also come from the unique perspective of I did do all remembrance speed runs where Bloodhound's Fang was the route that I used. So
okay, then in that case, yes, I didn't know you had that experience. In that case, totally fair. You're in the 1% then. So yes, fair enough. Xeno's gonna ask you what your time was in like 30 seconds here. Anyways, Snowy went ahead and got the painting square there. Asym making his way into Liurnia. Did get sniped on that square, but didn't really go hard for it. He picked up the Limgrave Artist Shack, but it's fine. He got a Somber 1 out of it, and then went and did set up Feroth and all that good stuff in Celia. But yeah,
I am mildly interested in Asym's routing here, though.
Because he went the left path, right?
Yes. So
he's going to miss Golden Halberd.
Yes. Which I find very, very strange to be taking this left path with the current board, because there's not a lot over here.
Yeah.
I guess he's wanting to get the Lysker Ruins ritual pot, but if you do go the route towards the halberd check, you can just run directly into the lake, and it's just straight west.
I will say there was a route that became popular towards the end of last season of Elden Squares, where it was popularized by like Aggie, Helios, Alex, and them, Ra, etc., where you would go do this route and then run to the Golden Halberd check, because Liurnia is so valuable. You get progress all over the south side of Liurnia. You get the extra merchant check. You get the ritual pot. You're closer to the village of the Albinorix if you need it. There's definitely some merit to this, and given the way that he's lining up, it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see if he does go straight east here, which it looks like,
Yeah, because it's really not that far to go straight east. Obviously, in the counterpoint, it's not that far to go straight west, but it is a route that I saw popularized. Also, because you also get the sacred tier as well, which can matter. There are definitely some games where I see people completely neglect sacred tiers, and then it's like you're fighting Radahn and you have to drink 3 pots to heal back up.
Yes, we definitely saw that earlier today in practice matches where Nartok decided to fight Suramog with a +0 flask.
Yeah, I mean, just simply don't get hit, right?
It's a skill.
Yeah.
And if you're confident in boss fights, it saves seconds, and those seconds save squares.
Did he just run by the halberd check? Yeah, okay, he did. He's going back though. I will say though, it's totally different. Like playing like I did a rando race last night with aggro. Or were you in that? I don't think you were in that race, were you?
No.
Yeah, with not aggro, but the rest of the guys. And I was just playing it more like just don't get hit, like whatever, just kind of have fun with it. And it is a totally different mindset when you're like, oh, do the fight, don't get hit, win. Versus like, I need to do this as fast as possible because I'm in a bingo match, right? Like you are going to get hit in fights in a bingo match sometimes, right? Because it's faster. Like the best example I can give is Margit when he in phase 2, when he does the golden sword staff down. Like I will tell players, roll the first sword, tank the second, roll the third, and then you're in range to immediately start doing damage again. Because the only other way to dodge it is to just get the hell out of there, but then you're not close to him to start doing damage again.
Yeah.
And Snowy, you're going to get the strength tier.
I will say, Asym's pathing seems to be mirroring exactly what Snowy was doing about 4 minutes ago. Yeah. So it is interesting to see that these players seem to be having a very similar mindset of where they want to be going and what they want to be doing.
I'm surprised both players did this axe check. If I get Golden Halberd, honestly, there's really like, even I guess Stormhawk maybe because it's purely because it's easier to get online, right?
Yes.
But other than that, I wouldn't take anything over Golden Halberd. personally at least. So I would just say screw it. I'm not going to waste 20 seconds or however long it takes to do that check. I'm just going to run straight through.
Yeah, the only thing that I could be thinking is going through the player's mind is this isn't a very late game board. And some of the later game bosses that are on here, like when you do go to fight Garunk, I know most players would prefer having a Stormhawk axe. So maybe it's in the off chance I get it. And if not, well, I was headed towards Academy Key anyways.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. I just think Asym knows that he's behind here, right? Because he, at least on progression, because he did a Geel, then he kind of half-heartedly went for paintings and got sniped, right? So he knows that he's behind on map progression. And if I was in Asym's spot, I'd be looking for any place where I can save 10 seconds to try to negate that difference.
Yes. Now, I think from here is where we're really going to see a lot of the players and their personalities start to show with how they tackle this board. Because the two very rushable squares are now gone. So the question is, what path do you go for? I am mildly surprised to see that neither of them seem to be going directly towards Stormvale, but it also, a lot of them, of their plays seem to be prefacing setup. Get the golden outfit online, get it going, and then decide what I'm going to do.
I think Altus is stupid strong on this board. Like, top left to bottom right diag is terrifying. Smithing Stone Miner, Spellbearing 1 and 2 into Onyx Lord, and then Elemer, Asherville, Lightning Ram, and 4 God bosses. Like, if you're behind on Altus, you get cooked on that line every time. And it's on a diag, which the best lines to rush are a diagonal because they inherently block every other bingo line available on the board. So they're both strong offensively, obviously, because if you get a bingo, you win, and defensively because they block all the other potential bingos. So just due to that line alone, I would be saying I need to get my butt into Altus to either A, punish my opponent if they don't get into Altus, or B, cover my butt if my opponent tries to get into Altus first.
It definitely looks like Snowy is seeing the power of the Altus line.
Yeah.
With the pathing.
Especially because like there's other Altus squares on this board too. There's 9 Sacred Flask charges, Radagon's and Godfrey's Icon, Invade and Defeat Magnus the Beastclaw, Perfume Bottles, right? It's not like this. There's a good amount of Altus squares on this board. So you need to get into Altus quickly. Very quickly. Yeah, and Asym here continuing to do weapon checks and just getting nothing. Yeah, for me, if I have Golden Halberd, there's only 5 weapons. Well, 6 because I love Warblade, but there's really only 5 weapons that to me are like worthwhile switching to. So at that point, it's just like save the time, stop doing the checks, save the time, right?
Yeah, we definitely had this conversation last night where my opponent had access to Oreblade because they went and did more weapon checks, whereas I immediately found Rosas and just hard stuck to it. And I think that in and of itself as a decision and just saying, I'm going to take this weapon, I'm going to run with it, sometimes saves you a ton of time because these are some of the best players out there. They know their bingo, they know their weapons, and they could win most fights with any +4 Somber that has a decent moveset.
Yeah. And like, for sure, like personally, especially because Orblade's literally like my favorite weapon in the game to use, even though it's not the best, right? Like I would take Oreblade over Rosas. I think most people would, but like it's not, if you're telling me I have to waste another 2 minutes to get Oreblade, it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
So, and that'd be true for most weapons too. Like even if it was like Dragon Scale or something, it's like, well, you're going to get a big lead with, a 2-minute lead is a lot.
I think a fantastic way of putting it is if I told you that there was a guaranteed Alabaster somewhere deep into Altus, would you go out of your way for it every game? And I think the answer is just no. It's not worth the time commitment to go grab it.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's like a super dry weapon seed or something, but yeah. That would be funny if there was like a guaranteed like S tier weapon somewhere, like a little like break glass in case of emergency. If you're really struggling, you can take this.
Yeah.
Or once you get a once per season cheat in an alabaster as like a Mario Kart power up.
I don't think I'd ever use it. I am the one alabaster hater on the server.
Yeah. Well, due to those comments, we'll now be doing solo commentary for the rest of the afternoon. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Understandable. Have a great day.
Beezy, you're just a certified hater. John Alabaster is the greatest man to ever walk through the lands between.
Alabaster has two major upsides that makes it a, I would say A tier weapon, but other people's will say S tier, and I won't argue with them.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm definitely not arguing that Alabaster's a bad weapon. I think it's also a ton of personal preference.
Interesting. Snowy went for Staff of the Avatar over Golden Halberd.
I am surprised. I don't agree with the decision, but I don't think this board is the one that will punish him for making that decision.
Yeah. I also, maybe it has to, I'm not sure what his faith was. If he only has like 5 faith, I would understand it or something. I didn't get to see his starting class stats, but I'm really surprised. He started with 11 faith. He only needed 1 more level into faith and chose Staff of the Avatar over it. Interesting.
We might be having a certified bastard stars moment here, but we'll see how it pays off in the long run.
This is not as bold as bastard stars over Stormhawk, but surprising nonetheless. Yeah.
So while we're over here arguing about whether or not Alabaster is S tier, Snowy is arguing that Staff of the Avatar is potentially better than Golden Halberd.
It's not. It's good. It's not. But, Snowy's gonna Snowy, right? This is what he does. I feel like he's the type of person who will just be like, I know this weapon's good. I haven't used it before. I'm tired of using Golden Halberd, so we're gonna do Staff of the Avatar today. I feel like he is that type of a person who would just do that.
There are definitely boards where I would argue it could be better, but a lot of the strengths that the Rotten Staff here has, because this is the Rotten Staff, not Staff of the Avatar, correct?
Yeah. It's the same moveset, but just with Rot. But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would argue that a lot of the benefits that you get from having access to Rotten Staff are also covered by Golden Halberd.
Yeah.
Because you might be wanting a little bit of extra damage from the Rot, but you're getting I can't remember if it's 10 or 15% damage boost from the Golden Vow Ash of War.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you also get the damage negation, and it also is very good stance pressure weapon.
And there's not a lot of, with some of the bosses that I see on this board, I don't think you're going to have big openings to do a massive charge dart 2 with a colossal that you're going to really want it for, right? You don't have that opening on Crucibles. You don't have that opening on Elamar. You sure as hell don't have that type of opening on Garronk. It's not going to matter on Magnus. It's not going to matter on Onyx Lord, right? Godric and Margit are 2. On Noble and Apostle, I don't think you have an opening to do a fully charged dart 2 with a colossal. Especially not Apostle for God bosses. So yeah, a little surprising.
Surprisingly do more than you might think on Noble, and Apostle does have a couple moves, but not enough to warrant a full preference towards this weapon, we'll say.
Yeah, you might on Garronk with if you know the cross slash down slam strafe and really greet it, but even then it'll be close.
Yeah. So I believe at this point we might be seeing Snowy go directly towards Altus here.
Yeah, and Nexus is taking Raya's hand to Volcano Mare.
Asym, but yes.
Or Asym. God, dude, how do I do that every time? Like, I don't understand. Like, why am I fucking boomer? God damn it. Anyways, Asym is making his way to take the hand of Volcano Manor. I think this is a really good play for him too, because against Snowy, right? Just get blocks, shut down the board, don't let him do Snowy things, right? Because he's a very unpredictable player. So, and like as you pointed out in the pregame, right? You said if he's up against the wall, he will just try to just go for a sneaky bingo, right? So make sure you close the back door first before you trap him in, right?
There is one massive advantage that Snowy has not taking Raya's hand though. Raya's hand is the biggest indicator on any square that you have Altus access now.
Yeah.
Because it is the one square in the game that you get the second you enter Altus, right?
Yeah.
And so if Asym does go and immediately mark that square, I'd be interested to see what Snowy does with the information of knowing Asym right now is in Altus and has access to Volcano Manor. Interesting to see that he grabs the Grace and then pivots.
Pivots out, yeah. It's already been to EG. Is he going for the golden seed here?
He looks like he might be going for the golden seed.
This isn't so in this situation, you should always get the golden seeds that allow you to progress the map. If you're going for golden seeds, you should be going for the Altus ones first because it allows you to progress your map, right? While doing so. Unless there's some reason that something he's running towards here that I can't think of at the moment. Like, oh no, he's going back for, he's going for the golden seed and then going back for Raya's hand, but he's gonna get sniped. Because Asym, I don't think he even set up his weapon actually. He kind of just rushed Raya's hand.
Because what's really interesting here is that you're gonna need a total of, I believe it's, if I remember, it's nine.
It's 9. Yeah, it's 9 seeds for 9 charges. That's why we changed it to 9.
Yeah.
It's always fighting Bogger here. Let's see with Snowy. And we'll see his reaction when he gets sniped here.
Alright, we got the Bogger kill.
Now
he's gonna see Raya's hand, and he's gonna immediately turn back.
He's speaking from the grave. Yep, he did it, of course. That's fine.
There is an argument to still take Raya's hand to get the Volcano Manor access. I just don't think it's as valuable, knowing that you could also just use Academy.
I mean, just grab the Grace and you can always come back. Like, you should, if you need to go to Volcano Manor, you should always take her hand, right? But actually, I guess he should have finished. Did he grab the Boggart Grace? Because you could always grab the Boggart Grace if you need to go to Academy, finish it out, right? That's what he probably should have done. Grab the Grace.
Yes. I'd be really interested to see if he wants to go towards the Sacred Flask charges here. I do not believe that he has enough, even with the seeds in Altus, to get the +9.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, he had 2 seeds, and then there's 6 easy access seeds in Altus.
I think
and one of those 6 is pretty far away.
I think he should be going Element. Because
I would much rather see something like an Elimer play, or if you're going to grab the seeds, also grab the Lightning Ram.
Yeah.
Even if you don't grab the square, prep the square, and it also gives you access to a Somber 5.
Because if you give Asym Elimer, he sets up a lot of stuff. Granted, actually, it is running around Altus and picking stuff off the floor is really strong, because you can get perfume bottles and Sacred Flask charges, right? You can set up for all these other Altus bosses.
Yes. And you do also have a very, we'll say, strong reason to not go for Elimer, because Elimer is a very long run. Mm-hmm. And so if you get sniped on it, you've wasted a ton of time.
Yeah.
Or if it's something that Asym's not going for at all, Snowy spent a ton of time getting the Elmer kill, and even though it's a very, very valuable square, you spent a ton of time essentially doing nothing.
Yeah, I wish I knew the timings on exactly how far that run is. Now, the thing, you could get a perfume bottle in Shaded Castle, which would give you a little bit more time and save you a little bit of one in the courtyard there. But that's about it.
I'm surprised that Snowy is even attempting to go for perfume bottles after seeing Raya's hand, because with Raya's hand, it is very, very quick to get.
Yeah, because the Volcano Manor one.
Yes. Although I'd be interested to see if he knows the very, very quick 4 pickup in Altus, because if you go to Perfumer's Grotto, you could get the 4th one before Asym even looks at the square.
Yeah, because you get the 2 here, then the 1 by the Altus Highway Junction, and then you can either go in the cave with the Omen Killer Miranda duo or to Kaled in the Rot Lake. There is 1. And he's already at 3, right? Like, it's a super fast square once you get into Altus. Incredibly fast.
Am I missing something about Asym's pathing? What he's
next? Asym, I think because of his load times, he's going towards Apostle. Not sure exactly why, but he this way's faster, or like similarly fast for him due to load times, and you get a golden seed. I'm
Looks
not
like
entirely sure about the Apostle decision, though.
I think it's possible that you set up the Grace without killing Apostle.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fair shout that Asym's doing what I brought up earlier, where you run around Altus, set up a bunch of Graces, kind of plant your foot around Altus, and then wait to see what Snowy marks first.
Yeah.
But it's very, very dangerous for Asym to do this, as he's showed Snowy, I'm in Altus right now. But Snowy has not showed that he's in Altus right now.
The thing is, you kind of know, right? Like, based off the markings of the squares, you kind of have to know that Snowy's in Altus.
Yes, there's a very, very strong chance that Snowy's in Altus, but there's also a possibility that he's not.
True. That is true. Like, he hasn't shown it in fact, right?
And I think in the situation where you're the first one to mark a square in an area, no matter what area that is, you want to be the aggressor in that situation, not necessarily the defender. Because then you could push your advantage, because you're like, I'm here first. I took Raya's hand. I got here first. There's a possibility that he just doesn't go for Raya's hand, but he's saying, I'm here first. Let me get the sheep. Let me get the flask charges. Let me get the perfume bottles. Yeah. And just not let Snowy mark anything.
I think maybe that is what Asym's going for. Maybe he is going for a lightning ram.
It looks like he's going
back right for charges. Yeah.
And since he did pick up the charge next to the Wormface boss, he might just be able to sit down and take it, where Snowy might not be able to.
Or at the very least, but Snowy also got the one in Academy. He has 5 already. I think I saw 5. So actually, yeah, he can just grab these 2 and these next 2 and then sit down and take it. So this is going to be a clean snipe. Where did he get 5?
I know Stormhill.
One by Wormface, one by Wormface, Stormhill. At the very start of Altus, he would have got one. At the junction. Height. And I can't figure out the last one. Not entirely sure. But yeah, this is 9, so he's gonna get a snipe here. I think Snowy's super close to it too, so that's unfortunate for Snowy.
But he has not talked to Melina yet.
Oh no, he got the last one up on the hill at the by the battleground.
Yes.
Wait. Holy shit, Snowy sniped him.
The Melina cost the square.
That's insane.
Just grab it.
That is definitely a very, very unfortunate situation for Asym, where just not having talked to Melina ended up costing that square.
What the hell? That was like a two. I didn't think Snowy was that close. That was like a 2-second snipe. I thought Asym had it in the bag. That's wild.
Now, I'm going to be very interested to see how Snowy reacts. Because Snowy could be thinking, I'm in the lead, let's not risk anything. Whereas, on the other hand, he could push his column.
Yeah. I think, problem is Asym doesn't even have a weapon online. I think if you're Snowy here, you just go Onyx Lord. I would just go hard Onyx Lord, because you set up column 1, row 1, you make progress towards Smithing Stone, Miner, and Spellbearing 1 and 2, right? I think it's a very strong play. Just go into that, because you set up 2 different lines, right? You get at least 1 more block, and I don't think Asym has anything that's a super serious threat right now. He really doesn't.
I will say, I am mildly upset at the fact that we won't be seeing a Loretta play, because Loretta, locked behind, has a perfume bottle, a ritual pot, and an Onyx Lord.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it. He's going for Magnus.
Because of how strong Altus is here.
Magnus is strange square selection. Very strange. Because at least either way, you're getting 1 square and a block, but Onyx Lord sets up 2 lines where Magnus only sets up 1. And Onyx Lord makes progress towards a secondary square while Magnus does not.
Yes.
And it does give you a somber 6. That's the only thing. It gives you a 6. But I think Onyx Lord is a significantly stronger square to go for here. And also Magnus is a menace. Like with this amount of health, he's a nightmare. He's an absolute nightmare.
The only good news, and I've definitely done this before with a weapon similar to the Rotten Staff, you can almost stagger lock him if you get him next to a wall while he's one-handing his weapon, because he won't have access to the hyper armor.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I don't know. Let's go big screen with Snowy and see if we can get some of his thoughts. Nope, just taking a leisurely stroll. Normally he's a talker.
It's always great to see Snowy practicing becoming one of the strong silent types.
Yeah.
We play with him all the time and he loves chatting.
I didn't know it was possible for Snowy to not talk for 10 seconds.
Let me in. If I get this, then we're looking insane. And then if I somehow get Onyx right after that, then it's like, holy. Like, oh shit.
Let's see.
And that's why you don't go for Magnus.
Yep.
Bruh.
That's also why you never take your eyes off of Magnus.
Very well done, Mr. Snowy. Magnus is going for Smithing Stone, Miner, Spellbearing 1 and 2, I think. But you go Onyx. You always go Onyx Lord. They're both misplaying this. You always go Onyx Lord first.
The only reason why I could see him not wanting to take Onyx Lord first
is hiding the diagonal.
Actually, I would say you get the Smithing Stone Bell Bearing first, and then you run to Onyx Lord, but I don't see the value in Smithing Stone Bell Bearing that much. Because I think no matter what, whether you mark Onyx Lord or Smithing Stone, your opponent's going to know kind of what you were going for.
Well, and if you're Asym, like, you would much rather take, unless he really believes in this row 2, I would much rather take Onyx Lord than Smithing Stone, Miner's Spellbearing.
Very unfortunate showing here from Snowy.
Yeah.
Magnus is a menace, and I did mention, like, this is one of those fights you kind of have to get him against a wall, stagger lock him, and pin him down. Don't let him hit you.
No, he's going in again. We'll keep it full screen with him.
All right, we're locked in. Locked in. Cannot lose this one.
Yeah.
Why did I greet that?
Magnus is scary as hell.
Also,
That's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is so bad. This is so bad. What is he doing?
He killed
Did he just
Vare,
find
which
Onyx
is
Sword?
5 or 6 fingers. But like, it's why I remember there was a game I played a while ago where I could have gone for Magnus in Rambler. It was like, do it, you baby. And I said, no, I'm scared of him. And this is why. This is why you get scared of him.
Yes. The earliest I've ever gone for Magnus is I did get a second square mark in a 2v2, but that was a very strong Altus board, and I had access to Wild
Strikes. I never get hit by that one claw attack, except I think I'm too close, maybe. That's it. I'm too close.
Almost got hit there.
Oh! I can't jump that one.
Yeah, you cannot jump the incantation.
We need to see a pivot from Snowy.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be forced to. He's invaded 4 times now. He only has one. I can't remember if Fari drops 5 or 6 fingers. He only has 1 or 2 left. So at some point, he's literally just not gonna be.
I should have just killed on that 3rd attempt.
We also have this
Also-
situation where Asym made a greedy play, and in making this greedy play by Snowy,
he's not getting punished.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we are gonna go to ads, guys. Sorry, but we have to do it. Asym's gonna get this. We'll check in with Snowy.
Yes.
Yeah, Snowy. How is Snowy still alive?
Dude,
yep, now he's
what
dead.
is going on?
He's Magnus, Snowy.
dodge any
That's what's
attacks
going
today.
on. That's what's going on. It's the fact that he's Magnus. And you don't invade Magnus with low health because he's a monster.
I will say this is one of the
This is
biggest
insane.
indications that we're going to
This
see
is
of
insane.
like, how are these players rookies? They're very, very strong.
Yeah.
We're seeing the experience difference of knowing exactly when's the time to go for what square.
Yeah. And
Because
Ace,
to show
yeah,
that he has
like,
the skill.
like in Asym should have done Onyx Lord first, even though like, because the block is just worth more, right? And I mean, good. Fortunately for him though, he's not getting punished, right?
Dude, I'm not gonna
Yes.
do that.
I mean, the only counter to not going for Onyx Lord first is if you're worried that Snowy's going for it. But if he's going for it, then you need to go for something else.
Yes, and this is also one of those lines that I was referring to at the beginning, where there's a ton of lines where there's a lot of Altus at play.
Yeah.
So, because Snowy is at Magnus, if he decides to see, like if he sees the Smithing Stone Bell Bearings, he could see the line of, he's going to go for Onyx Lord, I need to pivot to Elemer.
He
And
is
he
rotted.
will have progress towards Elemer.
Also, this is Snowy's final attempt. It's his last finger. This is his 6th try on this. Okay, and he does finally get it. The
Oh
Rot
my
gets
gosh,
it.
that was so long.
But
Maybe
Nexus
he's trying to-
gets Bell Bearings right after, which, or
Yes,
I
Asym
said
does.
Nexus again. Asym does. See if Asym has any thoughts for us. Not really. Just going to kill the Onyx Lord. Also, after you quick note, after you kill Magnus, you have to warp immediately. Otherwise, the rot dogs, the bleed dogs come at you, and they
I
just one after
actually, in
another.
this situation, would not warp and instead immediately pivot towards Elemer.
Yeah,
mildly surprised to see Snowy not going for this, and one reason could be he might want to put pressure on a different square, such as Lightning Ram.
Yeah, he's pretty clearly going Lightning Ram here to get the block on the diag. But honestly, the like the row 2 is pretty powerful, right?
Yes.
Because if you're comfortable with Garunk, you could just immediately go. I also think there is merit here for, instead of going Lightning Ram, I mean, you kind of do. I think Elemer is better because also you block the row, right? I will go full screen with Asym here. But Asym actually could have greeted this. He could have kept the Onyx Lord alive and metagamed a bit and then just gone Elemer.
Yes. Especially since...
But that's a really tough call to make.
What?
Yeah. We also have another just like very low vigor situation against an Altus scaled boss.
But it's also the Onyx Lord.
Yeah.
He's
it's
an
not the
old
hardest
man.
boss in the world, but you still have to be careful in fights like this.
Literally just spam jumper 2. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
It's like Snowy's going for explosive physic.
Which I think is a very interesting play.
I mean, it could put a lot of pressure on god bosses because Toner Sins for Turtle Pope and Renala feed in very well to each other. And then god bosses could become the pivotal square, right? Since it's on the diag and the row. And it's on Asym's diag and Snowy's row at the same time.
I'm wondering if something that Snowy might be thinking of here in this sort of situation is, all right, Smithing Stone, Bell Bearings is a long square. Onyx Lord is not necessarily the quickest square either. Elemer's not quick to get to. Lightning Ram takes some time to kill all the sheep, and 4 god bosses is a long square.
Yeah.
He could be saying, let me pick up a lot of these quick squares while you're going for that, and then take a block later on something like god bosses. It's very dangerous.
Snowy just trying out the butt slam in the middle of the fight. He literally said, "What is this?" and then just did it.
I'm dead.
I find it even more interesting that Snowy picked this weapon.
He's so dead.
Dang it, dude. Wait, he's gonna die.
That is very unfortunate to see. But this is also...
Wait. No, the enemy didn't die.
Count? Was that count?
No, he didn't get enemy felled.
Did he actually die?
I don't think he actually died.
I don't know why church every day. That's so green. Nope, he
Yep.
lived. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, Asym could rush Elemer, but I think I like Lightning Ram or Elemer into row 3. I do like Lightning Ram a lot because not only does it progress your diag, but it blocks any ideas of row 4 and column 4. And since you said earlier, aggro, like Snowy will look for desperation bingos. So just shutting down the board early.
I would say that if I see explosive physic here from Asym's point of view, I think Snowy could be going for the desperation play with the like surprise bingo, right?
Yeah.
At which case, you have to ask yourself the question, do I win a race in a bingo race against that? And you could hard rush and push your own rowing column to force Snowy away from it, considering they are not the hardest blocks in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to play this because you could even go for... I think maybe you try to... Snowy's going god bosses now.
Yes. I think he sees the danger of that diagonal, but also setting up his own row. He's like, okay, I set up the boss with explosive physic, and I can rush my way into... rush my way into the academy where you can get Turtle Pope and Renala set up. And if you get the god bosses from him and you have all that set up, does Asym know and does he block it in time?
Yeah. I mean, another option is also if the foil check is good, like if it's is Knight Rider's flail somber? I believe so, right?
I don't think so. I believe the Knight Rider's weapons in general are non-somber.
But you could even, if you could potentially, like, doing Renala with the Dagger's Claws, whatever only, would be really strong. Yeah, okay. The only somber flails are family heads or serpent flail. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, exploding Godric is strong. Don't kill him.
The best part about exploding Godric is that you literally, I don't even think you need to.
You missed it. You have to die. Die. Just die. Yeah. Oh, this is not Snowy's game.
No.
I didn't know he had knockback moves like that, dude. That's so annoying.
One of the most dangerous parts about explosive physic is you still have to keep dodging the boss.
Yeah. And there's 10 sheep.
I could have just been careful, but I didn't.
So I think this does put more pressure on Snowy to get god bosses, but I'd really Asym to go for the Renala and Atone play if he wants to get a block on that line.
Yeah, Snowy might have just taken the crown from Rambler. The thing is, Rambler, you missed explosive physic like back to back. Didn't you miss it? The tibia explosive physic was pretty bad, but that, I mean, how do you miss explosive physic? Oh God. I mean, obviously it happens, right? But like,
you get hit.
Yeah. Yeah, Rambler did it back to back. He missed because of Putrid Avatar jump and then because of Tibia boat fly in back to back games.
Sorry, Rambler, you're not gonna live down the explosive physic even with this match.
Yeah. Also, that
Remember,
was in the play. That was also in the playoffs of Golden Order versus the Rookie Rumble.
Yeah.
I just think they're both going for Stormveil right now.
Stormveil is very strong, so I do like seeing it, but I'm surprised that both players find right now to be the time to go for it. Maybe because
Snowy blows up.
Monsters.
It's so funny to me whenever players forget to take out the explosive physic, and everyone forgets every single time. They just start blowing up.
I've definitely had a game where I didn't forget about the explosive physic, but I kept blowing up because I had the strength tier in there.
Yeah.
That I needed to wield my weapon.
Yeah, it's the same thing for Snowy. Stormveil is strong though. Crucial Knights, Claws, Daggers, Daggers, Whips, Flails, Drake Talismans. You could potentially stat dump after it. Also, Godric is a god boss. Also, you see here, look how much time Asym made up with Golden Halberd. A lot. And I think Snowy's weapon is higher upgrade.
I know that he grabbed the upgrades for it. I'm not sure if he actually went back to upgrade it.
I wonder if they're both going god bosses.
I think Asym going for god bosses here is a misplay.
Yeah.
I think in a situation where you're like this, you want to go for the highest synergy plays. The only reason I could see him going for it is he's thinking Snowy's going to go for Renala and Atone. But knowing that you have the diagonal set up, there's a huge incentive for Snowy to not go that.
Yeah.
And if you lose the God Bosses race, now you're really behind on the Atone and Renala play.
Yeah.
Which is definitely where Snowy could bring this back.
Yeah, I think I would just be going for, I would go for Renala and Atone, right?
I will also say Asym's progress is deceptive towards God Bosses because he's taken Raya's Hand of Volcano Manor and has the Godskin Apostle race, the Grace already there.
Yeah. And
so
Snowy,
that saves enough time.
You kind of want to do Godefroy though. for the icons. The thing is, Snowy's gonna have to kill a Godskin.
Yeah.
In this, strike damage is gonna suck.
I'd find it really interesting to see, since Asym is kind of spoiled for choice on which god bosses to go for, which ones he prioritizes.
I mean, I think you just go for the 4 fastest. So, yeah, Noble's slower than doing Godfroy.
Yeah.
So I think you do Godric, Godfroy, Apostle, and Rick. Also, fun fact, the right path is significantly faster than the left path. Even with quit outs. Even in IGT. But he probably wanted this grace for like Crucible Knights and, well, Crucible Knights.
Crucible Knights and Crucible Knights.
Surprised Snowy's getting this grace, except just to switch his physic. Because I guess like you don't need the Godric grace. What is going to be interesting though?
Did both players already grab a flail to go for this, or are
no?
they
They're just killing.
Yeah,
him.
just
yeah,
straight killing them, which is definitely going to be very, very difficult to go for daggers, whips, and flails.
Yeah,
really your only chance there is Renala. I think since Renala is on the board and you do want all 4 summons, having a slower damaging weapon isn't the worst. But it's... I don't remember what the flail check was. Do we remember what it was?
No one's checked it.
Okay.
I mean, they're clearly both just hard rushing god bosses.
Yeah.
I'm also a little surprised too, because it makes perfect sense. I feel like, of course it is Soldier of Godric, but it does take a little bit of time. And I feel like Snowy just said, hey, I just killed Rick. Also, that rot was nasty. God damn.
Yeah. I think we're seeing the power of this weapon. Is Snowy going to turn us into rotten staff enjoyers?
One god boss.
Because so far, although Asym did go get the grace.
Yeah. You know, Asym could have done the staggers, whips,
place.
flails though, and then Great Rune.
Mm-hmm. And then that puts a ton of pressure on the ritual pots in Elemer.
No, we're not gonna do this skip.
I will say the one thing about the only defensively, Golden Halberd does have benefits over this. Like both of them did that pretty much hitless, if not literally hitless. But because Staff of the Avatar is heavier, you're gonna have less armor, and Golden Vow gives you a defense boost as well as an offense boost. Also, Asym taking a slightly faster line here to Godfroy, making up time there because of it.
Yes.
Do they have Stone Sword keys? That's gonna matter. If one of them doesn't have Stone Sword keys, they're pretty screwed.
I definitely would be surprised if the players didn't think about the Stone Sword key cost before coming here, but it's something I've forgotten about before.
I thought this was 2. It's only 1.
Yeah. I thought it was 2 as well, so got me.
Yeah, Asym actually has made up a lot of time on Snowy. Like they've literally been doing the exact same route, and Snowy was ahead, and Asym's slowly been making up time. I think that's more so because of superior routing now.
Second. Because he is behind on a god boss.
Yeah.
Snowy currently has 2, whereas Asym only has 1.
Yeah, how's their Apostle? I think it's gonna come down to if Snowy gets Apostle first try, I think he has it. He should have it. Also, against Godfroy, again, the rot matters a lot against tankier bosses, which Godfroy is stupidly tanky for no reason.
It is interesting to see that both these players came into this fight almost around the same time, but Snowy's doing significantly more damage just because of that rot buildup.
Yeah. And Nexus is using Golden Halberd like it's Dragon Halberd. He's not using the Charge Artus. He's using the Jumper.
Well, I'm not sure what Nexus is doing, but Asym is...
Dude, I don't know why I do it so much. What the hell?
So now Snowy is ahead on that icon.
Yeah.
And all he needs is one more God Boss. But where is he going?
You have to go Apostle. It's the only option. Noble is horrible. He's incredibly resistant to strike. With this weapon, you're like Apostle is at least less resistant to strike. You have to go Apostle. It's the only option.
I think there was a possibility for a second that Snowy was debating whether or not to pick up the sleep pots for the Apostle kill.
Yeah.
I don't know why else you would hover over Limgrave in this situation.
Yeah, but it's pretty obvious you're in a race because Nexus hasn't marked anything.
Asym, no, has not marked anything in a while.
Bruh. Asym has not marked anything either in a while. So like, see, this is where Asym could have just used the pressure though, because it's like, yeah, he does God bosses, but you do atone your sins in Renala. You get ahead. You can also, it's also set you up for ritual pots. You could stat dump afterwards, right? Or
yeah,
counter. He could have done Godric with Claws, Daggers, Whips, or Daggers, Whips, Flails, right? Then restore Godric's Great Rune, and then again do Elmer and Ritual Pots, and you might even beat him to the line.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those situations where Asym is trying to hard force a bingo against Snowy, which might be a very dangerous play.
Well, they're both trying to hard force a bingo against each other.
I understand maybe why Snowy's doing it, because he sees all this progress that Asym's made around the map, and he did die multiple times. So maybe he's thinking, I'm behind. Let me try and get ahead by forcing a bingo. Force this play before. And also, Asym has the diagonal there. So he's almost, in a way, incentivized to go and get the block.
Yeah.
And it works on his own line as well.
Yeah. Big fight for both of them here. Snowy, we will go full screen with Snowy though once he gets in, because if Snowy gets his first try, he wins the square since Asym has to still go kill Rick. So we'll go check in big screen with Snowy.
I didn't know you could see people play. I just want to stagger and then we're good. Stagger!
He is literally just reading.
It is okay with this sort of weapon because the stagger and stance pressure is huge, and if you can get something like a rod off, it's going to add up.
He didn't get all the way around.
If he landed that attack, though, I'm pretty sure it was a stagger. It's definitely close.
Snowy does get it.
Yep, so Snowy secures
How
it
in the
and
fuck?
finishes off the fight before Asym does.
Yeah.
We are seeing a Rotten Staff take
What the
over
hell?
Golden Halberd in damage on these bosses, which I gotta say, Snowy made the right call with that weapon. We were doubting him.
Also, oh, Asym's screwed. Asym's going Regatta's Great Rune.
Yeah, he had to see the Renala play. The only situation here in which Snowy loses is if he goes for Renala first.
Yeah, you never go for Renala first.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd even argue that Snowy should grab the Celestial Dew, not even kill Red Wolf, and just run from, because he has the grace next to the painting, because he did paintings. So I don't even think, I think Snowy should just get Atone as fast as you can. I would just go into Academy, get the Celestial Dew, and then go back in.
I think in this sort of situation,
Yeah.
Snowy might be getting hit with like tunnel vision of let me go Academy, let me get the setup towards Ronaldo, let me get the Red Wolf, and I don't know why this Grace.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think it's gonna matter, right? Because Asym's going Godric's Great Rune.
Well, the only reason I say that is that this Grace kills more players than the run after the Grace does.
Yeah. No, okay, it looks like he is going back for the no,
I think he ran into Academy and realized, oh, I don't have the do.
Yeah. You can get on your horse here, Snowy. Okay. I don't think Asym, I think Asym is just shocked like with the bottom row, and that's why like for Asym, right? Like he played a dangerous, like going for God bosses was a dangerous game because it's what Snowy has to go for.
Yeah.
Right.
He like forced himself into a race, so he's the only reason he lost.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to be super conservative, you could do Godric, right? I would just have done you could have done Godric with a flail to get progress towards a God boss and then go Renala, right? So if he marks the Renala stuff, then you finish God bosses. And if he marks God bosses, then you're ahead on Renala. And you get a square out of it. But yeah, see now Snowy's, this is the right play from Snowy. Run from here.
I think what we're seeing is
get the Atone as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is what I mentioned at the very beginning, where Snowy is very good at kind of reading the board and saying, this is a good square to prioritize right now. This is a good square to prioritize right now. And now that he's rushing towards this bingo, he's like, I have set up towards this. Now Asym's in a position where he's behind, and how do you catch back up?
And it's crazy that this all comes back to the fact that Snowy won flash charges by like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They were literally both sitting at the Grace and upgraded at the exact same time. Also, hell of a bounce back performance, even in this match, right? Like Snowy issued to Magnus a lot. And like even after the match against Nexus, right? Where he, lost the early game and then had to make a play and couldn't do it against Nexus, but is able to do it right now against Snowy. There goes the square.
I'm fucked. Yep, that's game.
So now we're going to need to see the immediate
Renala race.
How the
thing is,
wrong Grace.
He's not going for it, and actually I don't blame him. Staff of the Avatar is horrible for Renala because you're gonna kill her with Rot. So he's just gonna go elsewhere and clean up. He's going to Gronk.
And I think that this is almost one of the smartest things that Snowy could do is say, I saw what you did. You put yourself in a race and you lost that race, and that potentially could have lost you the game. I'm not going to put myself in a race.
Yeah. This is a really, and also because you don't know, right? Because Asym could have been ahead of you had he not gotten the Celestial Dew and just hard rushed like Red Wolf, because he could have already been in the Red Wolf fight by the time you marked. He could have been ahead of you. Like he was not, but he very well could have, right?
I will also say this might not be something that you're going to think of right off the bat, but in reality, Asym kind of just locked himself out of a square with this, in that how are you going to do Remembrance Boss daggers, whips, and flails only when your best option is Radon now?
Yeah, I mean, he has Smithing Stone, Honor's Melt, Bell Bearing 1 and 2, or if he gets a Somber, he can upgrade it to +4. You can do Radon with a flail, but it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, it will suck, but you can do it.
I think Snowy sees the value in that play of, I can do Renala with that later, but I need to rush for majority now. And if Asym does go for that square, I probably have Cryo because Radon has more health than Renala.
Yeah, this is a hell of a match by Snowy. What a difference a day can make.
Very good proc here. So with Gronk being fairly tanky, it'll add up.
And he can go snipe away Godric's Great Rune after this. Plus, Godric's Great Rune will be the final block that Snowy needs, right?
Yes.
Gotta say also, Staff of the Avatar has been incredibly impressive.
Yes. I am doing everything in my power not to say anything
shoot.
because I will not jinx Snowy's fight.
That's lame. Biscuit for the biscuit.
Oh my gosh, dude. I am just the best. Not really.
I do not want to be the
Holy.
commentator's curse on Snowy.
Is he just
not today.
blocking
I
my
think he's got
fucking
it from here,
bingos,
though,
bro?
And we see a mark. Very, very clean fight.
Oh, this asshole,
Gronk is
dude.
very scary, and
Fucking shitter.
I'm impressed at how many rookies are able to do that square as clean as they do.
Asym's pissed.
Because you see the Gronk, and now you're like, I'm going for this
Yeah.
Renala, and he's not even contesting it, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard Asym there, aggro, but he called him an asshole and a fucking shitter after the Gronk mark.
Yeah, I am doing everything in my power to not listen to this stream and your voice at the same time.
Yeah, I know it's annoying. That's why I wanted to tell you.
Well, the good news is it looks like Asym is going to be getting the block on Snowy. In the bad news for Asym, Snowy wants that.
Yeah.
Looks like Snowy's
God,
looking to
bro.
close
How
up
did I
the
not see
ritual
that?
pot square finally. I will say I'm not a big fan of Snowy going for ritual pots here. I think the most optimal play in this situation is what are my fastest squares that Asym can use to get back into this? And ritual pots is a decent amount of running around.
Yeah.
At least compared to other squares that
But
he
it
could.
gets the block on the final row.
Yeah.
There's one.
All right, first summon.
Two.
Ooh,
What the fuck? Yup.
big with Ronaldo.
Guess you can do a little bit.
I usually like to get Ronaldo to one tap before he gets the last summon. So as soon as you see the summon, you just go up.
Yeah,
and
because now this is happening.
Get out of here with that shit.
I will also say, with the summons, Renala is a fight that I would recommend every player learn how to do locked off.
Oh,
Fuck that shit.
right, there you go. He gets it.
Nice.
Nicely done there.
Renala is a troll of a Remembrance boss.
Yeah. But he's playing straight into Snowy's hands.
And he kind of has to, because you can't leave that there. It's one of those squares where it's like, yeah, if you see something like Sewer Moog as the last square, you kind of leave it for a bit because you know your opponent has to set up for that square. But something like Renala, he could have the Grace right in front of that door, and as soon as he sees you mark something else, go for it.
Now, this is I mean, it's going to be a 9-7 game, because I think Snowy's one ritual pot away.
Yeah.
Also, Asym sitting on icons, right? Because he has Godfrey, he's just need to pick up Radagons, right? Crucible Knights is fast. Elemer is fast. Drake's, I think, I would assume Asym already picked up the Drake in, what's it called? In Stormville. Also, the final thing that could be interesting is just Rune Dump.
Neither player seems to have been going for a Rune Dump at all.
Yeah, well, because like if you get a shitload of runes somehow, I've seen Saytari do it before. You could go for 25 arcane, 25 in, and RL 55 all at the same time. That's 3 squares. You can 3 leveling squares on the same board.
Yeah. And I've definitely done that play before with just a gold pick and file foot, the Putrid Avatar, and Grail on the bridge.
And Snowy's going to get sniped here slightly because it looks like he's going for the Radagon's icon, but Asym is deciding not to hold priority and just going for it now.
Which I think is a smart play for Asym, because Snowy doesn't know that he was going for God Bosses. Like, he knows, but he doesn't know.
And I stand slightly corrected because Snowy does need to get the last ritual pot here in Academy.
Yeah. So going for the ritual pot and potentially getting that set up for the icon, Snowy's making a good play, but I also think this is the correct play for Asym, because he has to know at some point, like, with Renala being on the board, with ritual pots, with the icons, Snowy very likely is in Academy.
Oh, you shouldn't. Okay, he's going for the Erdtree Avatar. I mean, you could go Erdtree Avatar into Bridge Grail and do all of these stat dumps at once. As crazy as it sounds.
The one thing I will say is, well, it could be a play. I'm not sure if it's the play right now.
Yeah.
Because
if you're only getting one stat dump, it's not worth
11.
it. You have to get them both at the same time.
Yeah. It's
if
like,
you're going
even if
for
you
it
got
early.
all 3, you're at 11, and 11 is not majority yet.
Well,
And
also it's the fact that if you get one stat dump, your opponent now can much easier get the second.
Mm-hmm. And it's especially hard when you see the fact that there's not a lot of late game on this board. Like, you have Crystallian Trio and Elemer as the only real bosses left.
Could do both a duo for Drakes.
You could do Bofa Duo. I don't think Bofa Duo is the play, but it is an option. It drops, I believe, 40k runes, but without the setup for it.
No, 65.
Oh, it is 65?
Yeah. It's either 60 or 65. It's a good chunk.
Yeah. That really is a situation of I am only going for runes, but there's just too much still left on the board that's pretty easy to pick up. Like Crucible Knights, they have Godric, so they can easily go get the 2 Crucible Knights. They have Elemer still on the board, which is a bit of a run, but yeah, just a fairly quick kill.
Yeah. And Snowy's doing Crucibles.
Trio both have very good weapons for the trio.
I'm surprised Snowy isn't going Trio.
I would have picked Trio as my first boss here, just because it's the quickest to get access to.
And Snowy has Strike.
Yeah. Whenever I'm looking at the final squares, the progression I generally tend to go to is what's the fastest and what does my opponent have access to, right? They have access to Crystallian Trio, Elemer, and Crucible Knights. Like, I know that they're probably going to be around the same. So the question is, what do I kill the fastest? And I think it's Trio. Don't let him get Trio because it's fast and you don't want him to catch up. make him do longer squares.
The Nexus gets 25 arcane. He's almost to rune level 55.
Okay, I go in. That's fine.
This is tricky though, because he kind of should be leveling int instead of health. But he only has 25 health, so I understand it. But do you really need health on this board? Like, not really.
No. I think this is one of those boards where you want as minimum stats as possible to level your weapon, and you start saving those levels to get the stat dumps.
Yeah, this is a hell of a game.
Because the problem is right, imagine that the last square left is that 25 int.
Wait,
and
where's Snowy going? Oh, wait, why isn't he going for the Storm Hill Crucible Knight? That doesn't make sense. He's going for the Crucible Knight in the Belfries. It's just a misplay. It's just a straight misplay. We'll go full screen
Snowy
with
is
Asym.
a child of infinite wisdom, and I will not question him.
Because that Crucible Knight's tankier than the Storm Hill anyways.
100%. I'm not sure if you've ever fought that one. Anyone in chat who fought that one, yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. And he has like a weird move. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's weird and awful.
He's also right next to a ledge, and I've fallen off of that at least once. Promise no more than once.
Yeah, I honestly think here, like, Asym, if he leveled int there instead of health, because he had extra runes to level and put it into health. Granted, he might have died there, but he could have gotten the double stat dump and RL 55, which would be super powerful.
Especially if you're investing this much time into getting it.
Yeah, you get all three. Because you're pretty much you're getting 2 squares, but you're handing Snowy 1 on a silver platter. So it's like you're really only getting 1 square out of this.
Yeah, this is exactly
if you don't get both stat dumps.
This is what we were discussing earlier about the time investment in squares.
Yeah.
Snowy is now going for a long square. So by Asym going for a long square as well, Snowy's not getting punished for his decision to not do trio, to not do the faster Crucible Knight, to not go kill Elmer.
Asym is doing nice on this dragon though. Didn't get RNG though. Fair.
Yeah.
What a hell of a stagger. Couldn't he? The no-look stagger?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go for Asym. We'll go full screen with Snowy here. He almost died.
All right, Snowy.
Why did I roll so early?
Yeah, there's RL 55 for Asym. But
What? Oh.
so the thing is, here Asym's almost locked out of 2 squares. Asym needs Drake's trio and Elmer.
Yeah. I would love to see Snowy realize that with rune level 55,
Snowy's going
is
int.
gonna be very, very hard.
Snowy's going int.
I would not go int. I would save int for the end, and I'd save remembrances for the end. Those are his 2 biggest prio squares.
Yeah.
Get Elmer, get Putrid, get the Drakes.
Yeah, Asym fucked up there because he could have gotten, I think he could have gotten int or could have been very close to getting int.
I think Snowy still has a very, very strong chance to potentially lose this game by going for int.
Yeah. I mean, especially with what we know. Right.
He had this massive lead, and by going for the Chiofra Crucible Knight, he wasted a decent amount of time.
Dude,
And he dies there.
This is bad.
Also, for Snowy here, like there's 2 possibilities in terms of Asym's int level. And if either of which are true, you shouldn't go in. It's either he didn't level in and he's just going to let you have it at some point, or he did level in and he's super close to getting it, right? And in either of those cases, you should not go in, because it's either about to pop or there's no chance of him getting it. There's not really an in between.
Mm-hmm.
Asym's now going Drakes.
I thought
he
I
dies
saw
to
him
rot.
entering. Yeah, I thought I saw him entering the Putrid Crystallian Trio arena, and I'm surprised that you would pivot from there.
What do I do? What
Yeah.
do I do?
I mean, there's an argument
I
of
should've
Snowy
not.
hasn't marked anything in a bit. What could he be going for? And I think in the situation where you see Snowy hasn't marked anything in a second, you have two options. One, Asym's thinking, I'm going to try and snipe him on Drakes because that's likely what he's going for. Or two, he's going for Drakes. Let me go for Trio. Let me go for Elemer. I have time.
He's doing both. I think he's realizing he has to greed the hell out of this because he needs both.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, no, he's not. Yeah.
I don't know what the play here is.
No, he's going Drakes. That's my bad. I thought he got.
He's grabbing the Drake.
He went to the Celia area, so I thought he went. Well, I thought he teleported back to Celia Hideaway. I thought he went and grabbed 2 Drakes and went to Celia Hideaway.
And is this his last Drake talisman that he needs to grab? Oh, he did not grab the...
No, he didn't grab this one already, so he needs one more after this, just Bofa. Snowy, though, going Elemer, which is going to work out for him. Because then Asym either has to do Daggers, Flails, Whips on Radahn or 25 int. Which regardless, I think you have to rush Radahn, right?
I think you want to do the Flails, Whips, or Dagger. And I think in a situation like this, you might want to get greedy for a bleed weapon. You might want to get a little bit greedy on your checks. Like, if you don't have a good flail, check the dagger that Nereus drops, because it could be something good.
He also has Smithing Stone Miner, Spellbearing 1 and 2. So if it's a Smithing Flail, he can plus 12 it, and that's going to do plenty of work on Radahn, right? Which is an advantage that he has that Snowy doesn't, right?
Yes.
Also, he should have gone Int instead of Arcane, because there's no Arcane, like, except for Reduvia, right? Like, there's no... The Flail check is your most solid check, right? So if he goes Int, it makes Family Heads better. But if he goes Arcane, it doesn't help any of the Flails.
Yeah. And the only time I would argue that it's okay to go Arcane is if he is looking for potentially a bleed weapon, you will get more procs.
That's only true, though, if you have Blood Attunement weapon.
Yeah.
Because if you... So the way Arcane does cause bleed to proc faster, but the weapon has to scale with Arcane, right? So that's why Occult's really good, because Occult gives you, like, even though that little like, that's why Occult's good. It's why bleed is good. But if you have just standard, having high Arcane doesn't matter because you don't have any Arcane scaling, and thus that Arcane scaling doesn't apply to the rate of bleed proc either. Also, it looks like Asym is now going Elemer as well, so this could be a clean snipe here. I'm surprised neither's going Trio.
I'm definitely surprised that neither is going Trio. Trio is the one square that I would have prioritized over everything. It's the fastest to grab. And in a situation like this where you're racing for the last few squares, I want the fastest squares possible.
Yeah. I think they're both just assuming. I think they're both just saying this is the fastest square. I don't want to get sniped. I'm gonna assume the other person's going for it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not sure exactly what Asym's health is at, but he was at 25 beforehand, leveled, and now is like just over 10 levels off of Int. So he would have been so close had he just leveled Int there instead of health.
So we're gonna hope to see a good fight from Snowy. He'll get a clean snipe, and then it'll be 11-11.
Yeah. Asym has to win the trio race, otherwise he's cooked.
Yes.
I mean, this could come down to Claws, Whips, Daggers, Flails. The advantage for Snowy is he has Renala. The advantage for Asym is that he has Spell Bearings. And I don't know, like, I can only speak for myself. If I have a plus 12 flail, Radon's not a problem. But
I will say, if you're comfortable with Radon, it's not the worst option.
Yeah.
But knowing that my opponent has to do Radon when I have option to either Renala or Godric, I'm happy.
I think I would actually take, if you can assume I can upgrade the flail to plus 12, I'd take it. Honestly. It's easier to proc status. It's the fight's faster. Snowy sits to level there. Asym's gonna get in the cave first. Snowy's running the wrong way. No, Snowy's going int. Why int now?
I think this gives Asym the highest probability of winning by going for int.
It's a daggers, whips, flails race. It's Snowy on Renala versus Asym on Radon.
And I think Asym's biggest chance here is if
he needs the flail check to be smithing. He really needs the flail check to be smithing.
He wants the smithing flail check, and he wants to see Snowy take longer on this fight than he takes on Trio.
Yeah. If the flail check somber, the smithing stone bell-bearing thing doesn't matter. Snowy's going for Grail.
Grail is definitely slower than the Avatar. One of them runs away from you, the other doesn't.
God, what a crazy match, man.
I will say, out of all the plays Snowy has done, if I see this staff in my matches, I might go it. It has done an amazing showing.
Yeah, I mean, this has been just like a fantastic match to, like, you know, showcase the rookie rumble too. Like, you know, first off, we have Aggro, rookie commentator, doing fucking amazing, right? Second, we have, you know, two players who are both, you know, playing their asses off, right? Like, you know, there's been a few decision stuff, like they've shown a little bit that they are rookies and there's stuff that they can learn, but they've also shown that these guys have the potential to be some of the best bingo players around in the future, right? Like, it's really such a wonderful match to show off this event.
Unfortunate death from Snowy here, and that is what Asym wants to see, is wasting time as much as possible.
Yeah, he wasted so much time there.
Because you didn't just waste the time fighting, you wasted the run there. There's not a Grace right there because he didn't pick up the Grace right next to him.
Asym cannot go for int after this. He cannot level int. Like, if he levels int and is out of runes and then the flail check smithing and he has to find runes elsewhere, that's a nightmare. You gotta just go, like, he's not close. He doesn't have enough money. He's gonna have to get to like rune level 65 or something. He'll need a couple 100,000, right? Like, you have to know that he needs to go for flails. It's the only way. 25 int is just lost. And Snowy goes down again to the Erdtree Avatar.
Oh no. One thing I'd love to see the players do here is, after the match, if the VOD is available, to come back and watch it and see some of the commentary and see back their plays. Because I think this is also a fantastic match to learn. Because while there's been very good plays, which we've pointed out, there's also just been a couple of minor decision-making tweaks that could take them from being the best in Rookie Rumble to being the best in Elden Squares.
Yeah. In like the World Order and stuff, 100%. And yeah, the VOD will be posted. I can't post it until after I finish streaming though tonight, so I'm gonna, because I'm doing Rando Deathless after this, but yes, it will be posted.
So with the
Let's see what the flail check is really quickly.
I think Snowy is happy.
It's family heads. That's really bad. It's really bad for Asym.
The worst, but I would love to see him go and at least attempt the dagger check. At least if it's not wieldable. Although the good news about it being somber is you still have access to EG. So you can get a +4, and +4 is pretty much where I want to be with Radon anyways.
My point though is just like, he's at a big advantage if it's smithing, because he can get it upgraded and Snowy can't. Now they both have equal opportunity to get it upgraded. And it will go really well with 25 int. Problem is, you are doing magic damage against Renola with a flail, and we saw how that worked out for Tony yesterday. No, he does get this down.
Okay.
Asym will also have to do the fight in 3 minutes, or at least as much as he can in 3 minutes, because he's gonna have to rely on the int here.
Yes.
What a hell of a finish. Yeah, and Asym literally has no option other than Radahn. Moose is locked behind Radahn, right? He's definitely not going Morgott. Godric and Renola are dead. Radahn is the only option.
Now, I'm curious if Snowy sees family heads here, if he's like, this is gonna suck against Renola, or if he potentially might even go check to see what the dagger check is.
Problem is, did Snowy pick up the Dex here earlier or the Grace by Boggart? Does Asym have? Do either of them have the Dex? Because 18 Dex is a decent amount.
Especially when you've dumped.
He did. Okay, he grabbed Boil Prawn, so he's good. Except against Renola, it's gonna run out.
Yeah.
He needs to be tactical. Snowy needs to be tactical about when he drinks the Physic. He should knock out the kids in the first round and then drink the Physic, because you need to save every single second you can.
Does Snowy? Okay.
He's going to upgrade. He's going to +4 it, which is what you should do.
I don't see a world where you don't +4 here.
No.
Especially since it's a race, I think the +4 is enough damage that it makes it worth it.
Oh yeah, especially against Renola, and when you're fighting Renola and reliant on the Physic, yes, you have to +4 it.
One thing I'm mildly surprised I didn't see players do is knowing that it could come down to this square, having Asym not check the flail earlier in the run.
Yeah.
Just to know, like, oh, it's family heads. Maybe leveling int is going to be more important than leveling arcane.
Yeah.
Just
because
very simple decisions.
It would have saved him 20 seconds. Like, and even if you're only doing the flail check, right? There's no arcane flail, right? None. You're either getting a standard attunement flail and you're not putting bleed on it, so the arcane doesn't matter, or you're getting a faith or int flail. Like that, those are your options: standard, faith, int. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna see both players enter their remembrance bosses at around the same time.
Yeah, so he's actually gonna enter first unless he gets moongrummed. Which moongrum is moongrumming. Ring around the rosy with moongrum works.
I've done this so many times. It doesn't always work, but when you're wielding a flail. I'm also, I will say this, if you're running to a boss where you're doing X only, equip the weapon
also,
in the
please no one do damage with anything other than the weapon. It would suck for this to come down to a mismark.
You can't punch the scholars here.
What is it?
Don't think the Ash of War is where it's at. I think this is Snowy testing Ash of Wars on weapons he's never used before.
Yes, that is what just happened. That is correct.
Well, he did it earlier with the butt slam too.
Testing out the charger too as well.
Before she falls.
It should be a 3 cycle here, which isn't bad.
I might have been able to get it.
Yeah, maybe if he didn't test out the Ash of War in phase 1, he could have 2 cycled.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, chandelier. Also, I don't know what the physic timer is, but it's definitely running low. Or like lower, right?
Man, my child RNG is so bad now. I might have been able to do it in 2. I just didn't wanna...
Yeah, he doesn't have to wait for summons. Also, Asym cannot summon here. Like, he cannot use the summons. Why did Asym just warp back? Oh, he forgot to set up the physic. So now Snowy has a free run at this.
Yeah. Also, even if you run out of the Rex to wield the family heads, it still does damage.
Yeah.
So if Snowy runs out of the Rex, Renala's not the worst fight in the world to just kind of punch around with a weapon that doesn't do a ton of damage. Because she doesn't have the biggest health pool. She's just more so annoying at attack.
He just needs to not get memed.
Yes. Speaking of.
Come, oh sworn giant.
Come on, Snow.
Where did you go, lady?
Oh?
Where? What?
Oh?
Whoa. I didn't know those. I thought those only went in one direction. Oh,
It's very, very close and down to the wire.
Dominant Sure.
yes.
Snowy gets it.
Please.
Snowy gets it.
Wow. What a very intense match.
Holy.
All of this
What a game.
came down to a 2-second snipe on Sacred
pause the
Flask
match?
charges and the decision to go for God bosses. Wow.
What a game. One hell of a game. I'm going to give both the players an extra second here before we bring them in for an interview. But damn, what a game. And like Nexus, like, God damn it, I did it again. Like Asym, I mean, I'm curious what his damage was because he messed up the physic. His damage was not good. He maybe would have had a shot, but losing out in the physic really hurt him.
Because this is a real problem when you're doing the flails, daggers, whips on Radon specifically, is he's a chunky boy.
Yeah.
So if you get something with status effects, like something that has innate bleed, it's not too bad. But when you're just doing straight magic damage, Radon's slightly resistant to that as well.
Yeah. Also,
Nowhere
had
near
he
as much as Nala, but yeah.
had he leveled int instead of arcane, Snowy would have been doing less damage. He would have been doing more damage. He wouldn't have had to go get the int tier. A lot of things could have done differently in this one. Let's go ahead and bring the players in now. Welcome in,
GG's.
gentlemen. Welcome in.
Hello.
GG's.
Zoe, how
What
the
a
fuck
game.
how did you get that god boss block? Like, genuinely. Which bosses?
I exploded Physic, Soldier of Godric, and then rushed. Soldier of Godric, and then rushed Godric, Godfoy, and then did God's Gate Apostle.
Jeez. Damn.
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, I need this. I also dude, I don't know. I should have really just. I don't know why I was so hooked on ritual pots. Like, I totally forgot that God's Great Rune's in the same row. I was just focused on blocking. And I had Godric's Gate Rune, and I had Godfrey's icon. And I just totally, I ran to the merchant to get my 4th ritual pot instead of killing Greywolf, getting the icon and then doing the ritual pot.
Oh, so you didn't take the teleporter to Turtle Pope. I was trying to figure that out.
No, I didn't. Well, I went painting, so...
Yeah, I figured you had 2 options, right? Like, you could set up for 2 different squares, or you could just run to Turtle Pope and get it quick.
Did I snipe you on Perfume?
No, No, you didn't. You sniped me on fucking sacred flash charges.
Dude,
I don't
that
know
was
how.
so crazy. We thought Asym sat at the grace, and I was like, oh, Asym has this. And then, to be fair, Snowy has a bit more stream delay. And then Snowy marked it. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
like,
I literally went to like the second set of gold seeds after the tree sentinel duo, and it like insta warped out of grace instead of like going forward and grabbing that grace in front of it. And then I had the worst Magnus performance I've had in a while. That was rough.
Yeah, I was wondering why that took you a while. I figured.
Dude, I think it was because I normally like cancel. I hit him before he does his claw attack to cancel him out of the loop, and I totally just forgot I did that. I was playing too patient with the. I assume you use Ron staff.
No.
No, I use golden
He was
halberd.
using golden halberd, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a weapon. I forgot I got that.
We were very shocked to see you have access to golden halberd and then willingly choose to go rotten staff instead. However, in the fight versus Godefroy, y'all entered at around the same time. Asym was a little bit behind, and Snowy had him down to 25% health when Asym only had him down to 75%.
Yeah, Ron staff does a lot of damage, and the raw. I saw the board and I was like, I mean, Ron staff's pretty good about most things.
True.
But besides the ritual plot error, like the decision making error, dying to Putrid Avatar a couple times, dying to Magnus a couple times. I thought there's something else I did stupid.
Dude, I'm guessing you fixed your painting path.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did.
Jesus Christ. The only reason I went for it was because I was like, if Snowy does the same painting route, I get the square.
I mean, you also kind of went for it the right way, because you went for it in a way which was like, if he snipes me, it doesn't really hurt, and if he doesn't go for it, then I win the square.
I assume we did Artist Check last, then, or like the one in Liurnia last.
Yeah.
Liurnia last, yeah.
Well, that's also called Artist Check. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, which is in that situation, that's how you should have done it, because you didn't know if he was going for it, you lose, right? And if he wasn't going for it, then you can just slowly pick it up. So you did it the right way, Asym.
Yeah, I only went there first because Asym did a Gil, and I was like, I have lead on this as long as I don't do something stupid.
Yeah. My Gil was really shit. Kept fucking jumping away.
Did you I assume you got torn?
Nope.
No. Okay.
No, I never get torn if I'm rushing that square.
What was your starting class?
I did the one with the Mesmer Soldier Axe and the S-Stock or whatever.
Oh, you could wield that. Okay.
Yeah. It had like 7 vigor, so I was really nervous, but I
went with the rotten stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna use this. I've never used this weapon before, but it looks cool.
Asym, I'm curious, why did you stat dump Arcane instead of Int?
I don't know.
Yeah, because if you stat dump Int, you might win, because you wouldn't have had to get the. Yeah, because you could have wielded it. You wouldn't have had to get the Int tier. No, you would have, right?
That would have been kind of annoying. Yeah.
And with the flail, because with the flail check, right? It can only be a standard faith or arcane or standard faith or Int weapon. Also, how many levels did you put into health? Because I thought you were gonna get
I put a lot.
Yeah.
I can get rune level 55.
I think if you were to do a stat dump at that point, you should have done both. Because you leveled health after Grail. How much health do you have right now, Asym?
I have 32 vig.
How much Int do you have?
13.
Yeah, you would have gotten you to 20. That's still kind of far off.
Not really. Like, I had a plan. I was gonna go kill Grail with a foot, like actual
That
Grail.
wouldn't have been enough, though.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, even if I was at 20 after Bridge Grail, that wouldn't have been enough.
Well,
No.
well, you had 25 before Bridge Grail because I was keeping count. Like, if that's you should have put everything into Int instead of health.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just I felt myself getting trapped as the game went on. Like, I think losing the God Bosses square really, really killed the game for me.
Yeah, because you
as a
engaged in
whole.
you engaged in a race which was very aggressive. Meanwhile, Snowy didn't. Snowy didn't capitalize on it because he went for ritual pots instead of like Godric's Great
I'm
Rune
a
or something.
bot.
But
Yeah, I forgot Godric's Great Rune was there.
Why did you go for Garank? That really confused me.
Row 2, I was
square?
scared.
Garank.
Wrong.
yeah,
Row 2.
row 2 in a quick square.
I just wanted a lockdown
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Also, I
Okay.
hate trio. I don't even think it would have been a bad fight. I just don't like doing it for some reason.
It's a long-ish cave, and then the fight kind of sucks.
To be fair, I had a lot of air and stuff. It would have been fine, but
You also had strike, so you'd have.
Yeah, you would have destroyed them quicker than I
Yeah.
did.
I would also
I
like
probably
to
should
bring
have
this up
went there.
before we move too far away. I did do the math. You would have had to kill Grail with the pickled foul foot like 3 times in order to get the int required. If you went for that.
Instead of
It would've
leveling
been-
health.
Like after leveling health. After
If you
leveling.
leveled health, you would need 262,863 runes in order to level up.
Yeah.
To get
Okay.
the int square.
It gets exponentially more expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I've done it, and just to get from rune level 55 to 60 using a different square set, I killed Grail with a pickled foulfoot, and it wasn't enough to get me from 55 to 60. Let alone to get from 55 to, you would have needed 67 levels,
Jeez.
like total levels.
Jeez.
Did what's it called? How'd you get rune level 55 so quick?
He did Bridge Grail and Urge Avatar.
When did he do that?
Also, the other thing about doing that is
Oh, he did that after
When you were in
is
Gopher
you-
killing the Crucible Knight, yeah.
when you got 2 squares, but you basically gave him 1 for free.
Which the int square?
Because you
Or what?
got Arcane in level 55, but you gave him int for free. So like you got 2 squares, but gave him 1.
Yeah, that's true. I also could have been like just doing Crucible Knights or something else at that point.
Yeah.
Like I probably shouldn't have just gone for Bridge Girl. I should have gone to something I could have taken away from Snowy.
Yeah.
I
But
think
if-
there's quite a few learning moments to be made from the board in the final few decisions. Both of you played very, very well, and I'm not going to take away from that, but like even minor decision making points, which are a lot easier to see post match or from an outsider's perspective. So I think it'd be really awesome if like tomorrow you went over the VODs, and I'd be more than welcome to invite some of the coaches or go over
Yeah.
some of the plays that we saw during this match.
Yeah,
Because it was
'cause,
a
like-
really close match.
Because genuinely, from like a skill perspective, like you guys were at an elite level. Like they were like the only difference was some decision making. Like from being at an incredibly elite level. Like this was a beautiful match to watch. It was like really, really incredible. Like you both showed a ton of like talent and ability. And like there's a few minor things that if are cleaned up on square selection, you guys will both be unstoppable.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's very possible that we're looking at next year's Golden Order winners, right? Like y'all are
Helios in
very
chat, he's
good.
gonna say something if he is. Or Alex. Helios
Hey.
is
Helios, watch out. We're coming for you.
Can I just say, I absolutely hate the fucking daggers, whips, and flail squares if you get trapped into killing Godric and Rennala. That shit
Well,
sucks.
That
You
was
got
me.
trapped.
had
Well,
a
don't
whole,
get
like,
trapped into killing
conversation
Godric and
about
Rennala.
I'm not gonna
Bro,
lie.
fuck
I
that.
wasn't
You could
totally
have
sold.
you could have
Oh.
avoided it by doing if instead of rushing god bosses, if you did just like Godric with a flail to make progress for it, got the square, got 1 god boss, and then pivoted to Academy, you could have avoided the entire line
Yeah, you're totally right.
and still got value.
I mean, I was so between going for an early block on that line and just cleaning up god bosses and trying to get a
Yeah.
bingo. Because, like, I mean, I'm pretty confident in Elimer. Like, it's just a very good enemy for me,
Yeah.
and I just really wanted to rush that.
I mean, you played a dangerous game, right?
True.
And it didn't work out for you today.
No, it did not. That was a really good play, Snowy. I will say that. I will commend you for the explosive physic Soldier Godric kill.
Well, he did
Yeah,
mess it
I
up
was like-
once.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was-
really?
He
Yeah.
missed the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
he pulled a ramp.
Yeah, I didn't think I would actually have to focus doing that, but Godric has one attack that'll make you fly away, and I got bad timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure, can't you? I don't even know why I hit him twice. I should have just done it after the stagger. It would kill him. That was also another thing.
Yeah. I'm also shocked you didn't go for Drake Talismans earlier.
Yeah, I would no progress.
Yeah. Really? Because you had.
I didn't
You
grab
ha-
Godric Graven Grace.
Oh, I know why I'm saying that. Because I thought you killed Bofo with explosive physic, and then you would have had one. That's why I said that. Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't even grab the Godric Graven Grace, and I went for Godbusters pretty quick. I didn't know that you were going to be very close and have those done. So I was like, I had the Remembrance Boss daggers, and I was kind of going to use that as a gauge for Godric Graven when I should go for it. But I also totally forgot it's on the same line as Ritual Font, so I kind of like did a stupid. Like, there's no reason I should have went Ritual Font there. That was goofy. So it did make the game very close and interesting. Were you close on the flail? Like, was it doable?
He was entering Radon.
He was in the fight. Yeah.
But
Did you? Was it
Damage
reasonable
wasn't
to
that
come?
bad.
yeah. If
Yeah,
you
it was very
died, if
fortunate,
you
but-
died, Snowy, he would have got it, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he died, of course. But
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I almost died
Yeah.
to that one thing because I didn't realize, like the shards when they spread out, that they just track you instant, don't just shoot forward. So, like, Renala jumped back and I went through her attack, but they still hit me from behind and I almost died.
I'm just
I got
gonna
the
say,
best.
Hooser was saying, hopefully he doesn't get trolled, and then that happened. So
yeah.
I got the best Renala RNG I think I've ever gotten for summons.
Yeah.
Like, right when I hit her to like
Wait.
75% health, she started
Yeah.
summoning, and then I kept hitting her, and she kept summoning.
Wait, I
Okay,
think I
guys,
got 4 summons as well. Oh,
I'm gonna hop in here. I gotta move on with the rest of the stream.
I gotta run.
Thank you so much.
yep.
Guys, everyone, please make sure to
Luck on
follow
your Death
Asym,
run.
Aggro, Snowy. Thank you all so much for watching. Stream's not over, by the way. I'm going to be doing Rando Deathless. And yeah, thank you
Hell
so much
yeah.
for watching, and we will be moving on to that.